Okay, I see the light is on. Okay. Uh, Okay, we're good? Okay. All right, we are here at the,
No, not
oh,
yet?
oh,
Okay, wait, let him give you the high sign.
okay. Good morning. We are here in City Hall for the Trees and Green Infrastructure Committee meeting on December the 9th, 2022 at 10 a.m. I was going to do a roll call here. Mr. Van Horn,
Here.
Ms. Duncan,
Here.
Ms. Huffman,
Here.
Ms. Gay,
Here.
myself. We have a quorum. We have a couple folks who are, well, we have, Katie said she was going to be able to make it, and we have a departure from the committee of Lisa Trey, and we can talk about that during the course of the meeting or whatever. I thought we would attempt to approve the minutes from the two previous meetings on in September and October. I hope everybody's had a chance to read them. I will be abstaining because I wasn't in attendance. But I don't know if anybody else was not in attendance, but,
Well, Jennifer wouldn't have been.
okay, you wouldn't have been, okay.
You were at the September 1st.
September, but not.
Okay, so should we do them separate? I guess, yeah, do it separate. So do I have a motion to approve the September minutes?
Motion.
Okay,
Motion to
from
approve.
Andrea.
A second.
And Susan seconding. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, those opposed, and we'll have a, but abstaining is myself and Jennifer. Okay, so we got that one done. All right, and then how about the October presentation meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the October 27th special
Okay,
meeting.
sounds good. And Andrea's seconding, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and I'm abstaining. Okay, so I think we got that down.
either.
Yeah, all right. All right, so I'm sorry to be so sort of little disjointed here. We have had some issues with Ann not being here. We wish Ann well, and we hope she takes care of the issues that she has facing her at the moment, which I'm not going to go into. But anyway, but we count on Ann for practically everything, and we depend on her very much. So we certainly wish her well. Okay. Let's see. So there was some correspondence.
Yeah, I think we should probably get to that when we talk about that issue on the agenda.
Okay, makes sense.
It's related to the
Okay,
recommended list.
okay. And then, so are we ready to delve into the old business?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So,
Well, I actually just got from Margaret a few minutes ago the updated commemorative tree donation spreadsheet. And what I'm seeing, so this is all new information, and unfortunately, it's not totaled for all time, so I can't give a complete update, but I can see from this that we've had 6 donations in calendar year 2022, which is fewer than last year, but they're still coming in on a pretty regular basis. We had donations in February, 2 in August, 1 in early September, and 2 in November. And I don't know that we've really had any recent opportunities for publicity. One of the things we were going to do is have a photo op when the Delaware Avenue street trees were planted. But unfortunately, I learned this morning that Liz Lingo can't be here today, so we don't have an update on that, so we don't know, what publicity opportunity there might be. We do often try to have some publicity opportunity at the end of the year. So perhaps we can talk about, what else we can do to try to get, end of the year donations. It's a popular time for people. You probably get emails from every charity you've ever contributed to around this time of year for that reason. But the other issue that we need to talk about is, Margaret, the donations go into the city, and the city now manages the process of getting the leaves engraved, something the committee used to do, but now the city staff does it. And while they've got a good engraver, they sometimes get backed up, especially with the, the piecemeal, the nature of the work, the one-offs. So Margaret was recommending, I guess the staff had been talking about a possibility of just doing the donation, the engraving on a quarterly basis. So if somebody donates today, maybe the end of the quarter is the end of the month, and so in January, all the ones from the fourth quarter would be taken for engraving. Whether or not we think that that would be okay, because obviously if somebody donates right after the beginning of the period, then they're not going to see their leaf for 3 months. So I'm a little torn,
Yeah.
especially given the level of donations. I don't think if we had been doing it quarterly, we'd have about the same number we have now. So I have mixed feelings about that, but she
Well,
wanted us
I'm
to
just
address
wondering if
that.
people donate with the expectation that it's something that they're going to see,
Right.
if it's going to be for some kind of commemorative
Right.
event or something, and I think to hold it off for 3 months, I don't know, I mean, if it didn't matter, it obviously, wouldn't be an issue, but I think if it did, would we like do them quarterly unless there's some incentive to do it otherwise?
So you're saying you'd be okay with quarterly?
I'd be okay with a quarter if it was okay for everybody else, I mean, if it wasn't, it wasn't an issue, but I just think under certain situations, I mean, I don't think we would expect people who, let's say, wanted to do something as a memorial for somebody or something like that, and then discover, but you're gonna have to wait 3 months.
Right.
So.
Well, and the other factor is, it's not an overnight process to get
No.
them engraved. I mean, it probably takes 3 or 4 weeks because there's a proof stage.
Right.
So it probably takes a month anyway to
Right.
get them done.
Well, so I think, obviously, in our materials or whatever, I don't know if we express that or not, but we probably need to, right?
Is there any cost effectiveness to doing it quarterly
I don't
versus?
think so, no, because the cost is pretty minimal anyway. I don't think there's a cost. I think it was more just trying to give the engraver enough work so that they wouldn't put it on the back burner, but I don't know. I have very mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
I mean, my personal feeling with this is if we are upfront about that, and that is stated somewhere that the engraving will be done on a quarterly basis, people could perhaps make their arrangements for some sort of commemoration
You're on that.
Yeah,
based on
right, but
Yeah.
I think we have to make that part of the package, or part of our communication or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, I mean, the brochure is done. I mean, it's been done from the beginning, and I think we still have some of the original supply.
We do.
So I don't know, whether that would just be on the city's website or communicated in the thank you letter, I suppose. That could be another way to do it.
Yeah.
In other words, how do we communicate this?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, are most of these, I'm not sure exactly how the whole thing, I don't know how it's intended to function, but in fact, do people contact the city and then talk to somebody, or how has it happened? So that we could explain, when they can expect to see the thing, so.
Yeah, back in the day when we had control of it,
Yeah, maybe, yeah, we would
yeah.
probably be making phone calls and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. So.
Well, there's an automatic, thank you letter process. I know that, so it could certainly be communicated in that. I mean, I guess we can try it.
Yeah,
yeah,
but, and I would presume, even though we're saying it's a quarterly, if there was reason, I mean, I think we could certainly expedite it or something. I don't see any reason why we couldn't, I mean,
Right, okay.
yeah, so.
Okay.
We aim to please or aim to serve or something. Yeah.
So the donations, let's see, so we've gotten 3,000, looks like we've gotten 4,000 or so donations in this current calendar year.
Okay. So was there anything on the other side? I didn't get a chance to see it. So in terms of outflows, no?
No, we'd have to get that from Liz. I mean, the Delaware Avenue tree plantings that were going to be funded in part by the
this.
commemorative tree program. I think Liz got a grant for part of it too.
Okay.
Because it's a lot of trees, it's 30-something odd, so it was more than but the funds were going to go partly from commemorative tree and partly from a grant.
Okay. All right. Well, I look forward to seeing it. But again, that can be, an accounting entry at some future date. It's just going to happen.
It is, because the
yeah.
donations come in 1 year, and then the budget has to be set for the following year. So there's usually a disconnect between when we get the donations in and when it's actually spent.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Because of the budget
Okay.
cycle.
but at least we know that it's earmarked
Yes.
for that. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's good news, I guess, you know, that.
Yeah, I mean, the program is, it's, if anything, it's been, you know, it's one of these, it's got staying power. I mean, you know, we're up to 86 donations total now, you know, they keep coming in.
Yeah,
So I think as long as we keep it active and do publicity, it'll keep coming in.
I guess, are there any opportunities left during this holiday season for us to do any marketing? We missed I realize now we missed the parade.
Have a car in the parade with a tree on it?
somebody standing in
or
a
a
car with
little,
a tree
you
on,
know,
a tree hat.
We didn't do this that well this summer when we sat out, right?
Yeah, right.
We did not do well,
We got some
although,
donations from that. though.
yeah, although, okay.
Couple, yeah.
Although, I
penny
think
cars.
next year, I would like to not sit inside and be out there with the fire people. I do think that was a better location. We were a little hidden there. It was a hot day,
yeah.
too. It was, with the parade, I've never been here for the parade. Are there people out doing anything on the sidewalk?
I don't think, no.
No, okay,
I
okay.
wasn't there this year, but I think,
I would think our moment is Arbor Day.
Arbor Day,
Yeah,
to try and sell some, okay.
I mean, we're surrounding that, you know, I mean, I just
Because
feel
we've
like,
never done anything the
and
commemorative
I'm not
tree.
saying it has to be on Arbor Day, but I'm just saying leading up to Arbor Day, I think is our moment in the sun, so to speak.
Okay, all right.
And
Well,
how
we've
many nature metaphors can I use? Okay, but,
How have we done at the farmer's market also?
yeah.
Right.
We
Right.
have done that before.
Right.
We have done that before.
And I
Yeah.
think that we should do that again.
Maybe if we do that more often.
Well, it's a
Right,
question
right,
of them letting us,
but however, but they don't start until May, right? And
Right.
Arbor Day is before that, so.
Right.
yeah, So,
so we have to think about, because we've never done anything, we have to think about how we would, okay, that's something to think about then.
well, but I'm thinking, can we have something in the lines in the sand or
Sand,
something
yes.
on the website or something like
Now,
that?
she put something in there fairly recent. I'm trying to think what the reason was. It was within the, it was the special program, that's right, that we did in October. She put that in lines in the sand.
Yes.
I would still like to think, if those Delaware Avenue trees go in, and maybe they won't, I know there's been some issues, but if they do go in, I still think we should have that as a photo op for the year.
Oh,
'Cause
sure.
We did that last year with the
Totally.
ones at Lake Avenue.
Right.
Totally.
And okay, so then here's the question. If we don't have that opportunity, can we have a year-end campaign without a photo op? What would we say? What would Lynn do?
That's that's my question.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice Christmas gift, it's a nice holiday gift.
Right.
I think we're missing an opportunity if we don't do something.
Yeah. Well, I could talk to Lynn Cohn and try to get some ideas.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking, it's late, you know, it's, it's really late, so,
Right.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I'm just saying,
She'd
you
have to
know.
put something in like the next lines in the sand.
Yeah, right, so,
Okay.
all right.
So forget the photo op. We'll just try to have something.
Right, if we can do that, I mean, I think that, and continue to do that, I mean, I think we should, you know, somewhat routinely
Yes.
make our little
absolutely.
pitch,
Yes,
yeah.
I agree.
so.
Okay.
Any other comments? Okay, and just some inviting comments, so.
Okay. I'll make a note to talk to her.
Is there any more discussion on this, or?
Not on that, I don't think.
Okay, all right.
So we're going to have trouble doing B because Liz isn't here.
Right, okay. I mean, would you mind, for my own edification, and I guess anyone else who would be interested in reviewing this meeting online, a little background on the mapping and so forth?
Yeah, these were two, feel free, others, please feel free to chime in on this. These were the two projects that we actually been working on for some months, and we're making quite a lot of progress on. And I was a little concerned about, losing momentum, with the delay in meeting and all that. But we now have a little bit more lost momentum with Liza Trey resigning from the committee because she was championing both projects, though multiple people were involved. The good news is that when I was doing the minutes for the September 1st meeting, I recalled, I had actually forgotten this, that Liz was at that meeting saying that she had all the information necessary for the tree tour. The tree tour is the first effort to have, way back when the committee was first formed, like 5 years ago, there was talk of doing, remember that, Jennifer? There was talk of doing a tour of significant trees in the city. And at that point, some of them were even on private property. And we were told, well, you can't really do that because you need to get their permission, there's liability issues, so we just dropped the whole thing. And the tour idea came back again about a year ago, partly because I was in a small town in the Delaware Water Gap area that had a historic house self-guided tour, and on the back page was significant trees in town, and it was like 5 or 6 of them. But it made me think, that even a small tour could be, could be interesting, and people would find that something worth pursuing. So by sticking with public trees, we still had tons of opportunities, and we talked about all kind of routes, including going from Stokely Park all the way down Scarborough through, ending at Cranberry Park, all that. And I think we ultimately concluded that that would be too ambitious for the first one, because in Stokely Park itself, there are more than a dozen significant trees. So we zeroed in, Eliza and working with actually Elise, another former committee member, zeroed in on identifying the significant trees in Stokely Park. And at the last meeting, Liz Lingo said she had the draft of all of the descriptions of them and ready to do, we were going to do, I think, a paper brochure as well as an online, a QR code that someone could look at online and get all the information. In addition to that, the trees were going to be tagged. And there's a company that sells these tags very inexpensively. I think they're like $10 a piece, and could be engraved with the type of tree and could have, I guess, can't remember now if the QR code was going to be on the tag or not. But anyway, where it stood was that the draft content was there. We just needed to approve it and get on with making the brochure and ordering the tags.
Okay.
I presented it at a commissioners meeting in July, I think, and got approval budget-wise. It's a budget item, but it's a very small budget item. But the mayor had wanted it, presented formally and get a formal approval and all that. So it has that, and we just need to, pick up from Liz whatever she's got and finish it up.
Okay. Well, it's a future agenda item.
So it's a future agenda item.
Okay.
Yeah. And I will talk, if I had known she wasn't going to be here today, I would have tried to have gotten it from her before, but I was going to just
Okay.
ask her
All right.
today.
So, I think at the very least, again, I kind of felt this meeting was going to be a catch-up meeting because we hadn't met and so forth and so on. We've had some changes and so forth. I think I will inquire in advance to Liz. Hopefully she'll be with us at the next meeting in January, I guess. So we can take that. But I don't know. Do we want to discuss specifically points that we want to be able to know or to touch on for the follow-up, or?
Well, I think we need to see the content first.
Okay.
I do think at the last meeting that we did agree that it should be, I guess, bullet points rather than narrative or something like that. And Liz said that that's the way she had written it, but she was actually gonna send the draft to Lynn Cohn for editing and then give it back
Okay,
to us.
but
So we just have to approve it.
we'll just see if she has a draft of anything.
Right.
Okay, and then, but this was strictly for the Stokely Park?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what the
Yep.
first one was gonna be.
Okay,
The tree mapping is a bit more complex. And yet, in many ways, it's a very different kind of project, but it's also, I think, extremely important, especially now that we have 86 donations in.
okay.
And that is a map, because, the reactivation of the commemorative tree program a few years ago specifically gets away from having any one tree sponsored by any one donor, so that the trees are planted
Yes.
on public property all over the city with these donations. But the reason we have the sculpture tree in the lobby is because that's how they're recognized rather than on plaques on the ground. But we thought it would be nice to show people what's been done with their donations. So the map, which is going to reside online, is going to be, you know, a city map with little dots indicating where all of the trees have been planted. And there have been many, I can't remember the exact number now. There have already been, I want to say 40 or more, maybe more than that, have been planted already.
Really?
And the spots have been identified, and for this project, we have to work with IT because of the GIS map of the city. And this is where we've really lost momentum, because Liza was working with IT, and then in preparation for getting the approval of the commissioners back in the summer, I spoke to Max at some length about it. At that point, we sort of simplified the technical aspects of it so as to reduce the staff time needed. And the next step was going to be creating the map. My task was going to be to provide an alphabetical list of all the donors, which now I can do because I just got the updated list.
Okay.
But we decided that we would have a list over on the side of all the donors, alphabetically, not by year, and not saying anything about the quantity of their donation, just to list them, you know, thanks to all these donors.
Okay.
And then there would be the map with the dots, and then there would be a separate list of the trees with a photo, not necessarily a photo of the actual tree, but a stock photo of the type of tree, so that people would know what's been planted, what kind of trees have been planted.
And do we know, who was our contact in IT?
Max Hamby, yeah.
Oh, it was Max.
Yeah, it was Max. So, again, I think this one is a little more complicated because of the technical aspects, but it shouldn't be
Yeah.
too hard to do. And it's one that, and so, and Andrew, you should talk about there was going to be a new small wood plaque next to the sculpture downstairs that would have a QR code on it where people could, you know, use their phone to go to the link on the website and actually see where, you know, so there's a connection between the sculpture downstairs and the actual trees.
Okay.
So I found some woodworkers.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I went out and found some, I've got some people that could possibly do plaque.
Okay.
And to tell you the truth, I'm not sure whether that was in what I presented in the summer to commissioners or not. Do you know how much that would cost? Any idea?
It depended on the kind of wood and.
Right, okay.
You know, we were gonna decide that.
Right.
It would match something.
Isn't
So-
the wood downstairs cherry?
Yeah, it's cherry.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't get a cost out
Okay.
because, you know, it was size and stuff like that, which I didn't go that far, but I did find two people that were willing to work on it.
Okay, good. And that would be small, I mean, similar, I guess,
yeah,
to the
it's
small plaque that's
small.
already down there. I mean, I think this one's important for two reasons. First of all, I feel like we owe it to the donors to show, you know, to actually show what we've done with their money, but also it's good publicity for the future, you
Yes.
know? So,
All right. Now, I guess the other question for me at least is, are we looking at this as phase one and we're going to roll this out more? Or?
yeah,
Yeah, right,
once we have all the information, we should be able to go directly to, and Liz was involved in it as well.
Okay.
So I guess my recommendation would be, let me get the alphabetical list, because they wanted that, and so that at least I can fulfill my obligation, and then go to them and say, okay, here it is, what's next? And find out from them.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I just wanted to have some items to, when I talk to Liz, I'll
Okay,
you know,
yeah.
we can try to propose, we'll propose this for next meeting. Okay.
Does anyone know if these donations for the tree program are tax deductible?
Yes, they
They
are.
are. I
Yeah,
figured they were.
definitely,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's in the letter that they get, and I think it's on the brochure
Yes.
too, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which is another reason to promote at the end of the year, because that's when people donate. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Too bad well, there's another Giving Tuesday, I guess, next week, but we missed all the donations around, the requests that come in around Black Friday.
We have to remember next year. Gotta remember.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So
Any more discussion on the tree tour mapping? Okay. I guess the next item has to do with the, the discussion of the education initiative and possible, I guess, lecture topics or whatever. I don't know how defined this is, or
Okay,
take
I'm a
it away, Andre.
All right, I'm a broken record here, but I'm going back to my ivy, my campaign against ivy. I really, I've done this again and again, and I just haven't gotten it off the ground. I'd like to get Liz, I'd like to get some workshops together. We've talked about this before. We've got a great-looking postcard that I think we were told we could not drop off in people's boxes. Remember we had this discussion?
Right.
There is a wonderful postcard that we can reproduce. And
Just on the dangers of.
on the dangers, right. It shows what the ivy, how it kills. It's a
Are we
beautiful
talking tree ivy?
tree ivy. I am talking about
Strictly
ivy.
not house ivy or ground
No,
ivy?
I'm talking about the
Okay.
ivy that creeps
gonna-
up a tree and kills
gonna
the
know
tree.
English ivy.
Yeah. Here it is.
And
The
various
choking
forms of
hazard.
it.
This,
Yes, I've seen
okay,
that. That's
this
great.
is it. So I had the idea last year of just walking around town and putting this in mailboxes is what I really wanted to do. And I was told,
It's illegal federally.
yes, okay. But maybe I could kind of tack it to a tree or something. So these are reproducible, and it basically talks about the dangers to trees. So I open this up again and say I would like to have, I guess, early in the spring, when owners are around, some sort of a campaign on ivy. And I think we need some demos. And we also, a number of years ago, had an Ivy League. Yes, okay. And I would really like to see if we could get that going again. Jennifer?
Yeah, yes, the Ivy League, I actually still have pictures.
Yes.
I think a fantastic job has been done in Deer Park,
Yes.
where the trees were just being eaten, smothered with the ivy. I also know or believe that not only can it smother your trees, but it can also eat into the foundation of your homes. I've seen that down in Northern Virginia, actually. And I don't think people are aware of how dangerous the English ivy is, and there are campaigns, especially in the Northeast, trying to eradicate it. But people in the pines, I think especially, because it's difficult to grow grass because of the trees, they want some ground coverage. So maybe in addition to it's smothering your trees, it's eating into the foundation of your house. Maybe we could add to that potential alternatives to ivy covering your entire yard. What's an alternative that people could use that is not going to be so labor intensive?
That's a good idea.
And I would
That's a-
be happy to work on the resurrected group to move that forward. I don't think people are educated on it at all. Now, I will tell you personally, I'm just was going, oh yes. Our daughter lives in Northern Virginia in a house that we used to own. She bought it from us. But she was showing me this ivy that has grown around the azaleas. And I said, for 30 years, we never had any ivy. But if a neighbor has ivy, then the pieces of the ivy can go over into your yard, and that's how it begins when you don't want it. We're constantly fighting it in our house on Kent because we have neighbors who have the ivy, and we have to keep pulling it, and you have to kill the roots and pull out the roots, but you don't want to use toxic stuff when you have dogs or animals in the area. So it's complicated, but it can be solved. They're doing an excellent job in New England.
It's a Sisyphean task, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried alternatives personally myself on Grove Street, where we have a lot of ivy. We use pine mulch everywhere.
Right.
It is a battle that never ends of pulling ivy once it gets established. And I'm not really sure what to do myself. And
What are
I
they doing
just
in New
pull it.
England? What are they, you said New England's had success in it, what are they doing?
Yeah, I did a lot of research on it when we had the group.
Yep.
And, that was, how many years ago?
Oh,
Cooper was mayor
Mayor
and
was
came
mayor.
out and helped.
yep.
I would have to go back and pull everything, but I did a lot of research. I said, okay, where is this a problem? How are they dealing with it?
I mean, you need to get it early is one thing. You know, if you're aware and you can get it early. But I've walked around Henlopen Acres, and it's amazing to me to see that they clearly have hired people to go around, and you can see where it's been cut. And I guess I would like a demo of somebody to show how it is done. And actually, this does do that. You do need someone, you probably do need someone for the really tough stuff. You do need somebody that I think is probably a professional, but
There are arborists who will do that.
Yeah.
I know,
Oh, yeah,
again,
yeah.
from personal experience. One issue with just trimming it at the bottom is some people, and my neighbors, were concerned about the aesthetics of cutting the base and then just allowing it to hang and turn brown and rot off. But after talking to the arborist, because as you mentioned, Andrea, before in a conversation here, if you're just pulling it off the tree, you can damage the bark, especially on sensitive trees, and kill
exactly.
the tree inadvertently.
yes.
So after talking to the arborist, though, I had confidence, and he said, we have a process. And he said, it costs money, but we were able to cut the base of it, give it about 6 to 8 months where it essentially died and released from the tree. And then they went up on a lift and carefully removed it. And it's fine, but that's an effort. And when it's well established, you really have to do something like that, is my understanding. But that can be part of the education as well.
Right, yeah.
So,
Well, my question, I'm posing a question. Is it, do you anticipate this to be kind of like a one-shot, or do we want to have, like, promote a
I'd like to do a
program?
campaign.
I'm just trying to envision what's the scope.
I'd like it to be a campaign. I know that I had spoken with Lynn. Liz last year was busy, and, I had tried to see whether she would have some time to lead some. I had sort of thought about pruning in general, and this being a piece of pruning, and she was too busy last year with playground stuff, so that, she couldn't get involved. So I foresee a campaign, an ongoing campaign is really what I think.
Okay.
With a group of people that are willing to go out, as we did a number of years ago. And I do remember the mayor was out there. You're absolutely right. That's a great campaign. That would be a great way to get Stan out there. And
Yeah, and I think he probably
and
would.
I also, last year, the other area that really needs some help is the area along Surf Avenue where the woods down to the tennis courts and everything. If you look at, there's a whole lot of ivy in there. And that is state property. And I remember I actually spoke last year to the ranger that works with us in Arbor Day, and asked her whether there's any way the state would come in and do something. And she said, it's not a high priority. But if you guys wanted to go in there, we could get you permission to do that. So,
I mean, would you envision this to be like Ivy Cleanup Day or something like that? Some kind of event. I mean, as part of the campaign, but to have.
Jennifer, would you work
Well,
with me, Bob? You too?
I would see it as,
I mean, I think
Let's
this is
put
really
together,
very-
Yeah,
let's put together a program.
Yeah,
How
I
about
would
if we
see it
get
as
together?
a continuous education because
yes.
people come and go in Rehoboth and they go, oh, well, I like their yard, it's all ivy. But, you know, the serious wake-up call, I think, for homeowners is the damage it will do to your foundation. Once it gets into that chimney, once it gets into the cement and gets underneath whatever siding you have, you're done.
Yeah. Well,
You need to have, you know, building experts come out. I don't think people know that.
The health of trees in general. I mean, I think that can really be something we can promote. We're a tree city, and
Yeah.
we promote that very heavily.
Exactly.
And part of being a tree city is caring for those trees and the mature trees. And I think we can push that. I'm wondering if there is some sort of, in this, if we go forward with this, is there, we can do something even more comprehensively as far as advertising. Is there a way to get flyers into mailers from the city or something like that? Is there a way to, you know, folks are going to be justly concerned about cost if they have to bring an arborist in or something. Can we coordinate somehow with Liz's office or whatever to, if a private homeowner, can we have it offer some sort of discounted service or something through whomever we contract with in the city or something like that as a slight incentive? I'm not talking about a freebie, but something as an incentive that people say, oh, I don't have to get this on my own. You have the expertise to do this because I need help. Things like that. These take time, I understand. And we might have to have some meetings and discuss it, but maybe something like that too.
go,
When we started eradicating the ivy in Deer Park, we did not, like you said, touch the top of the trees. We got the roots.
the roots, right.
And then we live right across the street from Deer Park, and we watched all the ivy die, and went all the way up to the top of many of those beautiful oak trees.
And then what, is it still there, dead? or
And
is
then
it just-
there's no ivy,
Yeah,
except
It eventually falls off?
yeah, it's pretty much has been eradicated from most of Deer Park, but on one corner, there is a homeowner who has ivy. So it's starting to come back on one side of Deer Park.
It's an ongoing battle, for
Yes.
sure.
I guess the question is how you get this. I walk around and see on private property some beautiful trees that are choking.
We could maybe ask the homeowners association to address it in their,
I mean, and I'm trying to get a handle on what this is. This sounds like a multi-part educational initiative. It sounds like maybe a hands-on workshop or the Ivy League being reformed, but it also sounds like you want to do a lecture for homeowners to teach them?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and,
Yes.
okay. And then the distribution of written materials.
And the distribution of written materials, yes. So,
Well, I would presume, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, how do you determine how much time, with the limited amount of time that I think we have with, for the resources of this committee, can we devote to the, effectively devote to this, and like, when do you think we can get this sort of up and running? And
well, I think time is of the essence, and definitely it is an early spring
Right.
kind of thing. It's
Okay.
when the
I'm just saying,
homeowners. I guess the main thing is I'd like to know how we can get this into hands. When is the next homeowner? I mean,
There's a board meeting in January. So I could talk to the board. I think they're not gonna have the spring meeting anymore. They're only gonna have the fall meeting in terms, but they send out information, electronically to the members all the time. I think that they probably would either include, and then they have the newsletter. The newsletter was just published last week,
yeah.
but there's another one of those in the spring as well.
okay, because maybe that's one way
Yeah,
to get this out.
right.
Okay. I'm happy to,
I think we
whatever
can
you
certainly do
need.
some on next door, I think that's up for grabs, sure, in addition.
Does that exist as an electronic document, do you think?
I can find out. Wait a minute.
It's nice to have the, you know,
If it's not copyrighted, we could probably do that ourselves, but.
I was told that this could be reused.
Oh, okay,
I definitely
yeah.
was told that this could be,
so we could scan it and use it.
yes,
Okay.
yep.
But
have any more-
we
do you have
don't
more
know
than one of
who
those?
produced that?
What?
So we don't know who produced that?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
It came from Tree Stewards of Arlington, Virginia.
Oh, it's in
Yeah,
Arlington.
this is,
Yes, okay.
Maybe they have an electronic version we could.
They do, yeah. You should look on the
Tell them.
site or something and see where. Yeah, that's not the same thing.
yes, I do.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, all right. In fact, that's two. I'm going to give you one back. 'cause I don't you- Okay, yeah.
Are there not climate change implications with this? I mean, I was reading about how poison ivy is much more robust now with warmer temperatures and longer growing seasons and all that kind of stuff. I mean, not to take away from the English ivy side of things, but, you know, because I think, from my understanding or experience, poison ivy, obviously, it's, you know, a plague, but it tends to grow in places where it doesn't grow necessarily in very shaded areas. It's sort of in areas that get some sunlight and stuff like that, as does, you know, English ivy and other kind of ivies and things like that. So I don't, but I'm just saying with the advent of global warming or climate change or however you want to call that, you know, I think we're looking at a stronger adversary, you know, with regard to this.
Can I just make one more comment?
Sure.
Obviously, I have a passion for this.
Okay, good.
English ivy, but just a quick Google. The legislative branch, state of Connecticut, passed public law in 2004, fines for banned invasive plants. Apparently Pennsylvania is doing the same thing. Apparently Oregon did it in 2010. Not only, they banned the sale of English ivy.
Is that on the Delaware list for invasive?
you know, I don't know, Creeping Jenny is,
I think
know.
it
that-
is,
Yeah, is it?
actually. I think English ivy
It is, okay.
Do you think? That's a good, yeah.
Which means it can no longer be sold, but that doesn't mean it's not still quite prevalent,
Correct,
but,
right.
yeah.
The other thing is, just one other thing. I did talk to Lynn last year about doing a thing on English ivy, and she said at any point,
Okay,
because there was no follow-up, I
Right.
didn't pursue it, but she's ready to do something
okay,
on it.
that's
So-
good. And do you also see any kind of a lecture, like a lecture in this room?
Well, I think we could combine it certainly with ground cover.
I was just
yeah,
going
I
to
was
say
just
that,
saying,
because
yeah.
to
Yes,
me,
for sure.
what Jennifer said about alternatives, it strikes me as a perfect follow-up to the program we just
lawn,
had, on
yes.
lawn alternatives.
Yes.
Because people are looking for a cover, you
I
know?
certainly, you know, we can get in touch with Tracy Wooten
Yeah,
pretty
right,
easily
yeah,
now
yeah.
that we've all, you know, we've met her.
Right.
And I have all that information, so absolutely.
So that could be a kind of a joint lecture
Yes,
where you talk
yes.
about the hazard, but then the
Yes.
opportunity.
Would you two like to get together and put together why don't we think about putting together a list of things that we think should be, okay?
Sure, absolutely.
All right.
If we do that, though, we're probably going to have to agenda it, just so you know. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just-
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's no problem, I don't think.
And I
Any,
think, you know, we also have very good resources here with Katie and Liz. So
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so. Any other discussion on topics, or do you think this is a big enough topic that?
I think this is
I
big
think,
enough.
you know, I think we have our topic, you know, so.
The other thing is, would Arbor Day fall under this, to talk about, to at least have an initial discussion about Arbor Day, or is it not on the agenda?
I think it's on the agenda,
Okay,
sure,
all right,
yeah.
'cause I think you mentioned.
I don't know if you wanted to talk about your situation with regard to, or bring us up to speed on Arbor Day?
Okay, so
Okay.
we're doing Arbor Day?
Yeah,
Right, right.
Okay.
so when,
I have a problem this year with Arbor Day, a big one. I have a very big conflict. I am going to be hosting 60 to 80 people for the entire weekend of Arbor Day. Therefore, I am willing to work on Arbor Day, but I am going to need help. I cannot do it myself, and I've been doing it myself for the last couple of years. It will be impossible this year.
And is it April 28th? Is that our, okay.
I'm assuming it's April 28th. They haven't published anything this year. I won't hear for sure until it comes out at the end of January, beginning of February.
Oh, really?
All the
Okay.
material.
Oh,
Unless-
from the state or what?
Yeah, the state stuff.
Okay.
Well,
me
at
just-
least, you know, look it up now, but at
Yeah, that's what I'm
least,
doing.
you
Yeah,
know, the art stuff, that should be the date.
Can I ask, what determines Arbor Day? Or do,
Last Friday in April by the Arbor Day Foundation, the National Arbor
okay,
Day
but
Foundation.
are we
But
bound by that?
I don't think so.
We weren't last year.
Yeah,
Right.
okay,
We were not last year.
right,
But regardless, I'm going to be very tied
right,
up.
I understand.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm just trying to figure it out, if we have,
The problem that we ran into was, and I don't know when the school vacation is, but the school vacation falls either before or after. And if we're going to do kids, and I mean, that's a really important part of what we've been doing,
right,
do have that to deal with,
okay.
okay? So yes, it was in May, I believe, last year.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought that,
First Friday in May, yeah. So
and I think if we're part of, if tree planting is part of our thing, you know, right, you know, it's, if there's, sometimes Arbor Day doesn't necessarily make that the best time to get to, you know, with weather being what it is in April and so forth, that
Right, but May, then, you're getting too late to be planting, so it should be,
Yeah, and spring break in the school district is the 7th through the 14th of April next year. So it's not, it's several weeks away from Arbor Day next year, yeah.
so, if we're talking Arbor Day, okay, so number one, I'm gonna definitely need help this year. I
Okay.
cannot do it myself. Two, location, okay?
Yeah, we don't want to do the school.
We don't
anymore.
want to do the school. We'd like to keep it here in town. Okay. The location that we had selected 2 years ago was the circle across from the mayor's house. That's probably the best way to describe it. When you're walking down, is it Girard or Third? What's the name of that street? It's
Third,
Third,
okay, yeah.
okay? When you're walking down, there's a sort of circle that you come around. Is everybody with me where I am?
Talking about the park?
Yes.
In front of his house?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all walk our dogs
Yes,
there.
right, exactly. Okay, so there is an area that we cleared 2 years ago, COVID year, to put in oak trees. Everybody clear on where that area is? Okay.
I have to look, I don't.
Cleared it of what, brush and stuff?
We cleared it of brush. We cleared it- we took
anticipation
down-
for,
yes, we-
okay.
We took down a bunch of sort of garbagey trees. So that has been cleared. The other thing that makes that a good site is we were going to do saplings. We always get saplings from the state.
Do me a favor, put your mic closer to you. Being recorded for posterity, okay.
We get saplings from the state, and there was enough space. We had actually cleared space, but it can be done again for different, for the kids to plant their saplings in that area, and whatever grew. The issue was electricity, and now we have a mayor who lives across the street, but there are other houses where we can run some. Water was an issue, and I cannot remember how, Liz, I don't exactly remember what we were going to do about water, but I think there's a water source there or close by. Okay. So that was area one. The second possible area is something that we had considered last year, and that is across from, it's the area where the Italian garden is. If you go around, there's a little swing set, and there is an area there that could use a couple of trees, canopy trees. And then further back, there was also an area where kids could plant saplings. So those are two possibilities. And anybody have any other thoughts? Something to think about. If there's another part of town.
I mean, the only other thing I can think of is other park areas, that might have a space or something like that if we've lost trees. I don't know if, like, this past year with we lost a lot of trees. I mean, I don't know how many were, in city property or public property or whatever. I don't know, but that may have happened. I don't know.
Baltimore Avenue, Wilmington Avenue, anything, I mean, I
I don't know if we want to do that now with the streetscape potential project.
Well, that's,
As
I was
part of
wondering.
it, absolutely.
Yeah, I was, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
wondering
I'm
whether
hoping there's a lot of trees as part of that, but
that's too far down the.
I think it's
okay,
certainly
too
not
far.
a next year.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, the
All right.
idea of that area near Gerard, Lake Gerard sounds terrific. And maybe on the other side too, I don't know if there's the issue with that being wetlands as well. But, on the other side toward, I guess, Pennsylvania Avenue
Yeah.
and over in that area too.
Yes.
I don't know if that's another potential. But the nice thing about where you're describing is that's really accessible for people and for kids. And that's a nice open area. If they could use some trees there, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we had. Liz actually wanted to go so far as to put a bench in there. So, I mean, it is a very nice area. Agreed, yeah. So, okay. I mean, I think that's the easiest for sure. And it works really nicely for walking the kids then across to City Hall for the art program. It's a really nice package.
Right,
So,
that's true, yeah.
um,
Okay, so do we want to just put this on the next meeting, hopefully with Liz here, and kind of
Yeah.
iron out the
I mean,
plans
and I
then?
think we're going to have to, pretty quickly come up with some kind of programmatic schedule,
Right.
to figure out.
So are you
how-
suggesting we change the date of the 28th since you're not around, or you just think we should move ahead with that date and other people would do it? Okay, fine.
I
Okay.
would like some, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd help.
I mean, it is a good way, it's another great publicity opportunity, so
Sure.
I think sticking with that date is a good thing. Now, the other variable on the date is, and I think this is the reason last year's was changed, is the availability of the state personnel. Do
Correct.
they come every year?
Well, they have, I've
But
lured them.
Rehoboth has been kind of identified for maybe 2 years in a row as the state site. It may,
I
it may
don't-
not be next year.
That is correct.
So what does that
That is
mean?
correct. That means that I want the ranger to come, so.
So that could change the
but
date?
Yes.
Or
and I
at least we
cannot-
need to be in
I-
touch with her as
I
soon as we
never-
can.
Right, I can't deal with her until basically I call her right after New Year's,
Right, okay.
because I don't think she knows until after New Year's.
I see, okay, fine. Okay, so that's a variable too. All right.
Are we time limited?
Yes and
More or
no, we are
less?
not strictly time limited, but to the extent that we can stick close to an hour, that would be good. I've
Yeah,
seen some of
okay.
the other committees go an hour 10, hour 15, so I think
Okay,
that's
all
fine.
right. I just wanted to be
Yeah, no, I think we
mindful
can
of
still
that.
talk about the tree
Okay.
list.
All right. Any more discussion about that for now, or I think we covered that? And I think the new business with Liz not here, I think we'll forego that for the next meeting, so that we'll,
I mean, okay, I think there's time
it-
for that in that the ordinance has not been scheduled for a hearing yet, but I guess we were going to just try to, to just put all our thoughts together about the tree list and submit that,
Yeah.
basically for public comment. Okay,
okay.
okay, that's fine. In that case, we're pretty much done.
I mean, I didn't want to avoid talking about that. We certainly can, but I didn't know if
Right.
it made sense. I don't know. Hold on a second. So I guess to recap, in terms of what we want to follow, just for next meeting, as we spoke, with regard to the mapping, we'll we'll revisit that. I can send something out that maybe is a little bit more specific, but obviously some kind of discussion or schedule, for what we hope to do for the, not only the IV program, but, and then also for the Arbor Day, what we'll know for, about Arbor Day, so. All right. We're kind of doing number 8 here, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Were there any other committee member comments? Anybody want to make? You have anything? I don't know if I had anything. We have new citizens here to make comments.
Right, yeah, and that's usually the case.
Yeah.
Only a few times have we had people in the audience. So I guess the next regular meeting is the second Friday in January, which is hold on a minute, Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Friday the 13th.
Yep.
And which is talking about ivy. It's kind of terrifying in a way. Especially if you're a tree. So, okay. Well, I mean, I don't want to bring things to an end, but I mean, I think we're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I appreciate you all, joining in today, and finally we got a meeting on the books. I appreciate that. It took me a little while to get going with this, and I apologize, but hopefully we'll be a much better routine and moving forward. But anyway, if I get to basically adjourn the
You
meeting.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hereby, I'm going to use this hand, my messed up hand. I hereby adjourn this meeting. And thank you all.
At 10:59.